Howdy. Now before we start today's video, I'd like to make a little shout out to a channel that helped inspire my own series, The Curious World. So if you're craving more than cryptids, head over there. They cover everything from paranormal ghosts to true crime. I'll leave a link down in the description, and I really recommend you check them out, share the love, and even subscribe to them. Alright, now on with the video. Oh, hey-de-day-de-day-de-day-de-day-de-day. Oh, welcome to Cryptid Caravan. New monsters all the time. The policeman knew how much I drunk. I'd surely get a fine. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, the cryptid that we'll see comes all the way across the pond. It's Ireland's Banshee. Now, the Banshee is a legendary monster that's known all across the Emerald Isles, with no one place it's anchored to. From Belfast to Cork, anyone can hear the Banshee's cry. So what should you be looking for? They are always depicted as women, either old haggard women with gray hair or young pale redheads. Oh, for God loved us so, He gave us redheads with Irish accents. But then we pissed Him off, and so He turned them all evil. Though not described as a violent creature, those who hear the high-pitched cry of the Banshee consider it an omen of impending death for a close family member. Originally, it only cried for the houses of the O'Neills and the O'Gradys and the O'Briens and the O'Connors and the O'Kavanaghs and the other Kavanaghs and the O'Os but now it cries for people like
Hennessy, Tennessee, Morrison, Shaughnessy, Reardon and Rooney, they'll tell you the same. McNulty, Mulrooney and Cotter and Clooney all...
Banshees often come with accessories in the form of a comb or a washboard. Those with the washboard are seen scrubbing the clothes of those about to die, and finding a comb lying in the woods is considered bad luck in Ireland. These creatures are a bit shy around humans. While their screams are often heard, when they are seen they quickly disappear into a haze of mist with the sound of a bird's wing. The year was 1437 when the King James of old Scotland met a Banshee down on an old dirt road, the first one recorded in history. He was approached in the road by an Irish seer who'd predicted his death, and only a short time later had the king found himself in a sewer and mortally wounded. Those sewer levels, they'll get you. There is a ballad detailing an earlier account of a king dying in battle in 1014 after hearing the Banshee's cry. A few centuries later, in the 18th century, some children were walking on a walk when they encountered an old lady perched on a rock. She began to shout at them with a terrible wail. They ran off and later learned that an old man who lived near that rock had died earlier that same day. Another century and another sighting. A young Irish girl was looking out her window to see a figure standing on a bridge down the road. It disappeared as the sound of a banshee carried on the wind. The next morning, her grandfather fell to his death. But the banshee weren't done with her yet. In 1900, when she was a bedridden old woman, her daughter heard the cry of a banshee under her bed. That's why you always check for monsters under the bed. For more recent tales, in the 80s, 3 friends went out for a night of drinking on the town. Because Irish. One of the friends decided to sit out on the entertainment, instead staying in the car while the other friends went into the pub. As he sat there alone, he saw a woman, shrouded in darkness, fly up to his windshield. With mouth agape, she screamed at him. Now he scurried to the back seat for protection. When his friends returned some hours later, they found him horrified. The next day, the man had learnt his uncle had passed away at the same time the Banshee cried to him.
A final sighting comes 4 years ago. What the lady did saw, she never will know.
In 2014, around 2 a.m., Emily was in her farmhouse when she was awoken to the sound of a cat growling, but then it morphed into a constant scream.
She was afraid that somebody had got caught in the bog, so she called the police and went into the fog.
On top of the stone wall, near the bog, was a little orange alien.
Wait, hang on, that's a different cryptid. I'm getting my stone walls mixed up.
No, on top of the wall was a woman screaming up into the air with such intensity it hurt Emily's ears. She ran back to the house, afraid this woman was drunk or doped up. A patrol car showed up later that night and searched the area, but found no sign of this supposed drunk woman. The officer did suggest the idea that Emily had seen a banshee and that she should contact her loved ones. She called around to find out that her mother had passed away during the night.
'Tis almost nigh omnipotence on part of the officer. What? I can know some big words.
While most do regard the banshee as a guardian spirit, there are some variances on that. Some think they are keeners, women who would be paid in alcohol to weep at graveyards. The church frowned upon this practice, and some think God cursed them to continue their weeping even after death. Continuing in this line of thinking, some say banshees are actually demons, and they scream in frustration that another soul was sent to heaven.
Hey, those devils are sore losers.
One of the natural theories behind banshees is the barn owl. They're shy around humans and often screech at the sight of them and then fly off. And in olden times, when an army on the march startled a barn owl, its cry would alert the opposing forces.
So that explanation explains the screams and the sounds of bird wings and the impending death. But when the Banshee's not foretelling death, it can be found in all sorts of media.
The Banshee has been featured in spooky films like Cry of the Banshee, Scream of the Banshee, and Curse of the Banshee.
And several films just called Banshee. Real original.
It's been in TV shows like Charmed and Supernatural, and there's also shows like Banshee that just borrow the name of the cryptid. And the X-Men have a mutant named Banshee.
He's an Irishman with sonic screams. Oh.
And everyone loves using that name for any type of thing.
Rula, rula, rula. Rula, rula, rula. Rula, rula, rula. It's an Irish love.